Fnatic and Boaster are back.
It's behind. It becomes
boom, 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 yaka!
Because last week they managed to defeat the vaunted Team Vitality 2-1, and they did it here on Haven, coming back from a 9-3 deficit. And it was large in part thanks to some of Boaster's calling, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But first, it actually starts with the pistol round, where Fnatic found themselves in a 2v4, and Boaster individually popped off.
etc. But in this case, less gambled on it. Boaster trying to bait out,
30 seconds left.
push through spawn as well, hoping to try and find a fight, but the majority of this roster has looked to group up for Vitality. All 4 players wrapping around mid, and the double tap is just a goal to sell the idea that they're on B. Maybe there's a small chance for an isolated fight, but it really comes down to Chronicle here. Did he get seen?
He's gone all the way around. No, he's not being seen.
but
Now
Les
he
is
has
watching.
Seavoff picked off, and Les, sure, finishes him off eventually. That's going to put Boaster in a bit of an awkward spot. They're not going together, despite kicks being very low.
Oh no.
Durka swinging alone goes down too! Boaster with the lifeline for Fnatic. The Red Bull clutch, and he's dropping it back on the stage.
So obviously this isn't amazingly played by Vitality when they get into the 3v1, but you've got Boaster here doing a little Bilbo Baggins smoke to kind of create the headshot angle for him here. And yeah, obviously it's not great here by Vitality, right, kind of going one by one. But this really was the start, right? They're 3-9 down, and really I think Boaster's celebration there kind of show a good vibes, despite the fact that they had heavily lost the first half of this game. And if you're gonna win from 9-3 down at the half, really there's 2 things you have to do to even have a chance, and that is 1, win the pistol, and 2, win the bonus round. Because when you win that bonus round, you do have a good chance, and Fnatic realize that, right? Because this is their bonus round. But it doesn't look like a bonus round, right? Like, they've all got full 5 rifles. And the idea that they go for here isn't, you know, something like super complex. We'll get into some of the kind of the intricacies later on of some of the Boaster calling. This one's kind of just going to be a fairly straightforward B exec, right? They are going to send some pressure elsewhere on the map, right? Like, we're going to get the Yoru here over towards A. They're going to throw a cage out here towards Garage to make it, you know, seem like there are some other things going on. But in reality, you know, this is pretty straightforward. It's just a B hit. Boaster's going to TP on, see if kind of anything comes at him that he's worried about. It doesn't. Plants the spike, and then he just TPs out, right? And now we're just in a full 5v5 post plant, right? It wasn't too complicated, but now Fnatic end up, you know, just playing a very solid post plant, right? And I think that this round gives you just a sense that, you know, the kind of fundamentals are quite solid here for Fnatic, right? They weren't getting out-aimed. Take a look at the positions that we all take up, right? So if Vitality come and attack out Garage here, right? We've got 2 people, potentially 3 looking at them. When they come and swing out here, you know, we got potential to, you know, really get multiple players looking back at them, right? So we're just in fundamentally solid, good positions, and we just managed to win enough fights here, like Kayak getting his one, and then, you know, we're going to get one here and one here. Like, they just didn't get out-aimed like so many teams do against Vitality, and so they were able to convert this round.
Durka's not happy with the control. Can't just fight in from a few angles. He wants to open this up a little bit more, but he's fighting into heavy Fnatic territory. Seavoff, the return of perhaps the king, certainly on this server, but he's being put down quickly. Returned by Les, keeps it doable. Boaster and Chronicle put this to bed though, and Les, despite tapping, he is quickly out of there.
So up to that point, Fnatic really hadn't done anything too crazy. You know, they'd gone with some fairly basic plans. They'd won a clutch in the pistol round, and they'd managed to convert the eco rounds as well, and were playing a fundamental, solid game. But then we started to get towards the end of the half, right? Once conditioning had kind of been laid in a bit, and this is where Boaster really started to cook, right? So let's just take a look at some of the map manipulation that was going on here for Fnatic, right? So they start off this round with a fairly standard for the Fnatic comp, right? Playing the Yoru ISO. This is a very common idea. They send the Yoru clone into Garage, try and take early Garage control here with the Yoru, with always the option to potentially TP away as well, right? This is a very common idea, and Vitality, they try and react. They're playing the same comp. They try and react by kind of pinching on it, right? So you can see that you've got the ISO here, you've got Durka running down, you know, trying to get in behind, because often when Vitality do this play, it is actually sometimes just Durka alone, right? So they're trying to almost pinch here, right? Like, not force him to maybe TP out, but just kind of pinch on him there and find anyone else there as well. The problem that they're going to have, though, is whilst they go for this Omen Flash and do stop them in Garage just there, Boaster is going to kind of swing out here and manage to get this kill onto Durka. Now, at this point, we are going to get a kind of 1-for-1 here because Sivo is going to kill Chronicle just there. So we end up in a 4v4. Right, we end up in this 4v4, and now we're going to go, you know, kind of back and forth, right? Like, Alpha uses his shield there, and now eventually Fnatic are going to retreat. And this is where the plans start formulating. Safe tries to add in a Solver ult, but then he realizes, oh, someone could be walking up on me just here. And now the plans start to formulate, right? So you've got Kayak here. He sent his TP all the way back in spawn, but you can see he's walking down A long. Right, they pretty much, or should be fairly confident that it is just the Sova here on A. So they're trying to now pressure towards this Sova. You can see we actually get revealed by this dart as well. Right, so we're trying to pressure in. I mean, getting revealed is actually kind of good there. It would have been perhaps even better for them if 2 players had been revealed. But now, as kind of the rotates start to come in, Sivo actually pops his shield and is now waiting to ISO ult. But Fnatic are completely gone. They've taken this TP, and they're actually coming back over towards C with this insert in towards Garage as well, right? So they completely got them. You see, they're confused here. We then put a smoke on B, right? So now it looks like, oh, we got revealed here. So, you know, oh, we've just ran back to B. Remember how we were out towards B at the start of the round? Well, we actually left someone there, and now we're coming back to them, right? It makes sense from Vitality's point of view. Like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Right, so that's going to hold these guys here a bit as well, of like, oh, maybe it's B, and, you know, this guy's still going to be worried about, oh, maybe they're going B, but there's going to be an A lurk, right, because I've seen a guy on A, so I, you know, need to stick around. The thing is here, Vitality have stayed pretty disciplined. We get the Omen ult here from Boaster towards the backside, but Vitality have stayed fairly disciplined, and Les is still here on C. He hasn't moved, okay, and this is sometimes a thing that you can run into with fakes, where sometimes all it takes is one player, obviously, to get this kind of info early on, like, you know, he shoots, obviously, the Omen TP, perhaps here's some footsteps, for these guys to then start thinking about rotating, right? And Les does a good job here in just kind of delaying and holding down the site long enough to allow the rest of Vitality to get there, which actually creates some danger in this round, but Fnatic are able to overcome it.
He had the trigger discipline to not just fire the ult through into empty space. Hunter's Fury, it's not even Hunter's Fury, it's Boaster with the trade, but because the ult's online, Sevov gets another shot, double tap, not available, but Sevov finds the pick, and now comes back in, ready to brawl. Fnatic have their work cut out for them at 2 versus 3. Happy to run that clock down a little lower, but the plant very much needed by this squad now. 10 seconds. They know that someone has to plant, and when they do, they're removed from the fight, but they'll do it on eliminations instead.
So after the ISO ult, there's very clearly big danger there for Fnatic, right? But what Fnatic do well in this moment, as the time is ticking down, what Crashies and Boaster do is they don't panic, right? And they also recognize their win condition. When they see this ISO here, they now realize that their win condition can be kills, because these two can't escape. Right, there is no escape path for them, or no easy free escape path. They're probably not even going to try it, right? And so they recognize they can actually win this by kills, right? The Omen flash is obviously perfect, and so, you know, they never tap the spike. There is no, like, you know, we are actually trying to plant here. They recognize their win condition, and they do a great job. But as you saw, the fake there perhaps didn't work quite as well as Fnatic would have hoped, so Boaster decided to up the ante a little bit. He said, okay, well, we didn't quite get you last time, but this time we're going to send a bit more towards it, right? And again, they're going to take their time here, you know, early smoke, you know, take some A control. You see the Vitality actually push down mid again, and obviously they're waiting here. You see the Yoru actually ends up TPing away here. You know, by waiting against Yoru teams, right, the Yoru then has to make a choice. Are you going to stick around, or are you going to, you know, eventually leave, right? Because the gate crash is going to run out, and so playing slow against Yorus, yeah, it can be a very good idea, and so that's what Fnatic, you know, do here. And again, this looks like an A hit, right? And potentially it is going to be an A hit, but they see 2 players on the backside with that Silver Drone just there. So what that means is, that means that Chronicle then activates towards C, right? He goes, okay, there's multiple people over towards that A site. We know that. So now Chronicle is going to make his way down C long, just here, as you can see. And so now they formulate the plan. Okay, what we're going to do now, last time we didn't get you with the fake, but this time we're going to show both duelists here, right? And when you show both duelists, you show ISO Yoru towards A, what are Vitality going to think? They're obviously going to think it's A, right? So you see, we start getting some util here, right? Smoke, ISO wall, Yoru TP, right? It all looks very real. The dart comes in as well from Crashies, right? So even Solver is here as well. You know, and now it all looks real. The clone is coming in. This is an A hit, right? Like, this is just an A hit. Meanwhile, the spike is over towards C, right? So meanwhile, we're running this big fake. And this time, Les is in Garage, right? So this time, he can't create any delay really on his own here, unless at this point, he's in a weird situation. He maybe just thinks at this point, you know, that he can get this kill because he does reveal him, but he has like a moment's delay just there, and that probably costs him, to be honest. It probably costs him because then he swings it to Chronicle, but by then it's a bit too late, and now he dies, right? But now we've ended up in this really open site, and this is now very tough for Vitality that Less has died, because they are going to Euro ult, but they're not even going to see that much with the Euro ult, right? They're basically just going to see Boaster and Crashies, and these two are still a big question mark, right? In theory, they could be coming this way, right? In theory, now they could be lurking B, or they could be where they are and potentially attacking Garage, or just come back to long, right? So even with a Euro ult here, by running this round, Vitality are really starved of info, and it's tough for them.
And now they have that post plant. A 5 versus 4. Dimensional Drift immediately used for Durka to try and clear some of these angles. Knowing there's a player on site, Alfia is already going to drop another teammate though, and this is looking incredibly problematic.
Big plays needed on the site, and it's Alpha still lurking around to find the value. Sivov with an unbelievable performance on ISO, and he'll get the defuse to halfway. They've even got the side angle covered. The swing out, though, instantly deals with him.
So yeah, you see Vitality Euro ult here, but it really doesn't get them anything, right? Like, they don't really get much at all from this ult, and whilst that's going on, you've got this, I mean, I love the way that they do this as well. There's so many good details here from Fnatic, right? So you get the Garage flank coming in here from Alfia. He manages to find a free kill just here, again, because they're lost, right? And they don't know where these players from A have gone, right? But it's Alfia in here. I also love this smoke that Boaster's put down, right? This smoke is kind of genius because, yeah, it does block the sightlines from people coming out of Garage just here. But what it then does, it allows his teammate, you see how it kind of blooms out on the site, it allows him to just kind of sneak out and give Alpha an extra angle, right? Just really, really good stuff, right? In terms of just allowing Alpha to just get on this angle here, right? Really nasty, you're never expecting this, gets a free kill from it. Then you get the secondary flank of Garage, right? So at this point they think, well, we've dealt with the Garage guy, now they're all just down long. But no, there's a second guy there as well, right? And you're just not ready for it. And by the time that, you know, the smoke is kind of, you know, fading, it's too late. You know, you're not focused. You see that neither Sivo or Durka are, you know, really concentrating on it at all. He gets a free kill as well, right? So just so many good details there from Fnatic kind of throughout the round. Boaster doing an amazing job. And then finally, let's skip ahead to round number 22. And in this one, we got fakes on fakes. Okay, and the initial fake is going to kind of get red here, right? Because you're going to get some aggro here from Durka down towards A. And Fnatic are going to fake A with this Euro ult. Okay, they're going to pretend. And I don't really love this fake by Fnatic. You're going to see in just a second, right? So they wait out the drone and, you know, they're coming out towards B. And now Kayak is going to send his ult in towards A. They're going to send a smoke. But unlike the fake before, right, where we saw ISO util of smokes, you got, you know, Silver Dots going in there, right? There was quite a lot towards this fake. This time it's just Kayak, right? He's just ulting. There's a one smoke there. And it doesn't feel real. And you can tell, you know, Vitality don't think it's very real either. And also, behind this, they get this amazing info, right? So this is often, you know, gonna be a fake buster. Is when a player from the other team, particularly someone confident like Durka, just says, well, I know this is a fake, because no one else is there. And I can see that, right? And at this point, really, Fnatic probably think they're in a better position than they really are, right? Oh, perhaps Vitality, you know, and they do go and check it, as you can see there from Vitality. Safe is just checking to see if that Euro did stick around. But now that it's not, they're in a great spot, right? There's no way Fnatic expect this. But for whatever reason, Kayak does expect this, right? Like, the round should be kind of in a terrible spot. Maybe Durka gets a little bit too impatient because they haven't, you know, they haven't actually heard anything towards C, or they, you know, haven't done too much elsewhere. So maybe he's a little bit impatient here, but the fact that Kayak is aware and expects that and takes that shot and gets that kill is really impressive. Then Boaster kills Sivo, and this is where the magic begins, okay? Because yeah, they're in a 5v3. There are many ways of winning a 5v3, but it is Vitality. And Vitality throughout this entire season will win a lot of 3v5s because they have the player quality to do it. Take a look at what they do next, right? Because what Boaster works out here is, hey, Durka has walked all the way up here. They have left A, okay? They have left A, so the obvious natural call is we should go to A, because why would they keep someone A when they've walked all the way up here, right? But Boaster knows this, and he knows that Vitality knows this. So what does he do instead? He says, some of you go towards A and make it look like we're running towards A. Meanwhile, the spike is going towards C. It's a genius call, right? It's so genius because look, here's the thing. They actually can't beat Vitality to the A site itself, right? They're not actually going to beat them there. So they send this Silver Dart out here, pretending again, like for these guys, hey, we're going A. And again, if they had come A, yeah, sure, it's like a 5v2. They should win, but there's a chance that they don't, right? There's a chance that, hey, Kicks with like this Omen Flash or whatever, he smacks you with it. Maybe you don't win that instead. But now, you know, they tap the orb, they're running this fake, they're really, you know, they send a smoke on site, whatever. Now look at the map though. It's just over. And again, it's genius by Boaster, who had not only an insane kind of IGLing performance in this game against Vitality, but also as on an individual level as well, he was also frying.
Seemed like a Boaster masterclass in so many of these rounds, just baiting their opponents, baiting the leaders of the Vitality squad to believe that this is going to be an A commitment. Instead, now those two players who solved the ruse look to run back, and they're still waiting for less. They're waiting for a flank on a site they never even took.
Unbelievable. You come into a round after a timeout knowing, boys, this is where we have to stop them. That was the idea from Vitality, but look at how it's fallen apart. They won't even come close to the site where the spike is planted. Not even close to B. Up in heaven, they sit and wait for this round to come to a close. And even then, they don't get to sit safely for long. Alphayer is here. He's looking to make it more costly, and he's hit Kicks. The 1-2 punch perhaps to put the economy in the dirt, and he's landed it! An end zone, flawless from Fnatic. This seemed to be Vitality's